Hello, here are some movie reviews for today. A Thai comic youth play to describe the run of movies named Ugly Duckling spoilers after the jump. Be careful, Maewnam is a very nervous and reserved person. Teenage girl covered in a box at all times. She experiences a odd sickness that makes her honestly think she despises her own face. Says she is the most deformed person ever on the world, and must be kept secret in fact. She hasn't even glanced at them, watching herself for more than 3 years, and has not left the house. Maewnam lives in the same house as her. Her father, Mr. Bond, and brother Plowan, who worry about her constantly. Plowan arrives home that evening with a bruised elbow and theft admission. To avoid getting into any trouble, he draws his father's attention away to his. Because of their sister's absolute madness, Maewnam's state also gets a history of panic attacks, breathing problems while anxious. Her being hurt by Plowan's words makes it breathing was difficult for her. Mr. Bond, who had grown accustomed to her reactions, to she can relax because of her past events. Then Nam tells the tale of her life. In her post about how she turned ugly, people might be surprised by the duckling. Her first 13 years of life were spent like that. Maewnam was an ordinary guy like any other. Had friends, was gregarious, and being self-assured, but then she fell in love with the middle school most attractive girl in her class. She was so in love with him that one day she expressed her love for him in front of everyone, but to her horror, the boy did not share her views. Instead, had dropped her gift on the floor and called her the most ugly girl he's ever seen, asked that she carry a bag over her head. Describing her look as a jump scare, every single one of her students did, as the guy lead, and derogatory comments about her occurrence was really traumatic for the girl, that she isolated from everyone in her surroundings her, and refused to return to school. Mr. Bond made every effort to persuade her otherwise, but when she learns she is encountering a genuine problem, he allowed her to. Maewnam was taught at home following the event a long time, avoiding looking in the mirror. About a year and never left the house. Until she was outside the one day, which home trying to free a trapped balloon unknown person approached her and gave her help. Maewnam right away and put a paper bag. She covered her face at that with her head. Suddenly understanding that the most when her face is relaxed, she feels secure. Felt like covering the bag's place. Almost as though she had discovered it. The bag finally changed into a box. Because her family could rely on it more, occasionally catches a sight of her face, but Menon would rather stay anonymous, even to she rarely allows herself to look at them. Looking into a mirror, Maewnam takes most by speaking with someone anonymously about social network users. She feels more drawn to internet so nobody can see each other's looks. The day after Mr. Bond leaves, visits her physician and asks a prompt. The doctor's treatment for her sickness says that Maewnam is not ill and has a strange ailment that is well known as hikikomori in Japan. It mostly impacts living teens or young adults imprisoned in their own world, protected from days, months, or even years in the bedroom, avoiding all touch with people. The problem in the doctor's case is since she continues to speak, it's not that bad. Woman has a duty to her family, which includes possibility of connecting with others. If she must leave, she will go alone. She is afraid of the doctor, which is the problem. Urges Mr. Bond to remove his daughter. Prior to separating her family from her, Maewnam eats with a straw during dinner. Refusal to remove the box in a strenuous. Mr. Bond tells his kids to the siblings carefully listen to him, not allow him to speak, and thinking that he either has cancer or is gay. Mr. Bond asks down both assertions and shows that wants to take Maewnam to school. Starting tomorrow, Maewnam believes he replies as he had previously, but in jest. Expected, but Mr. Bond doesn't in this case surrender to her obstinacy and is unwavering in his choice. Even Plowan is taken aback by his father's tenacity. Maewnam shows her hatred towards him and runs to her room and sobs for the she is worried about tomorrow at the next hour. Certain that she will be bullied by everyone, she still wants to be teased in the box. To feeling embarrassed by being called ugly, better Plow brings a fresh package to her. Replace the outdated one and offers help. Then she takes it and decorates it the first time, off the box, and shows a face she is hiding from you. She is told by ugly Plowan that he won't allow trolls to mock her, but doesn't improve her attitude any more than the cousins embellish the new Maybach Mr. Bond drives the following morning. Taking his kids to school during plow lights, the car in Strolls and Maynard starts to cough up air underneath the box. Mr. Bond relaxes her with music and urges her to travel to Maewnam, apologizes for insulting him in his thanks last night and respects his efforts. As soon as she leaves, Mr. Bond, help her, also sobs. Afraid for his safety daughter, Maewnam exhales slowly and eventually enters the school, the large on her head. A bright box does not move. Everyone begins to point insidiously as she panics as you whisper to her. Moreover, their laughter makes her think about the day she suffered humiliation for years. Maewnam feels dizziness and is about to pass out, but a man comes to assist her. On cue, he is wearing a mask as well. It helps her mood a little. When a man describes himself as Minton, feels nervous and flees as she is during it, she accidentally runs into the Zero, the popular boy at school, and his friends ask her to take the group shot with the box off, intrigued about her looks when Maewnam declines, and they round him. They are trying to push it off, and her Minton is stopped and takes off his face while wearing a helmet, and Minton share angry glances as they decide to resolve the conflict externally. After then, school Minton holds Maewnam's hand and leaves with her. In the subsequent, she is shakily standing in front of the teacher has been told of the class concerning her health. So she asks the student privacy should be honored. However, being typical teenagers, they begin to taunt her and exhort her to protect herself. The same class also includes Face Minton and is upset by his classmates' actions. Conduct Maewnam makes a leisurely trip to the final spot and keeps her head bowed the majority of the time. During lunch, she visits the canteen in search of but cannot find her sibling anywhere. The student's staring continues, and two guys are discussing about her after seeing her eating while wearing the box on her head, make her remove it so that everyone can see it. Despite their bullying, she laughs at them. Eventually, assisting Maewnam leaves from her leftover meal and runs outside in tears while she's by herself at the playground. Suddenly, Minton arrives next to her. She thinks that she should not make fun of her for her box, Minton says, because he simply enjoys his look, then shares his food while wearing the helmet. Because she was unable to eat. Maewnam felt much more earlier. I felt at ease. Speaking with him after that, they laugh and joke around, but then she claims she won't be attending school. The following day, Minton claims to be and implores her to come, even if Minston, it's solely for him after school. And the bully Zero cross paths as before they make a vocal vow, but conflict brought on by their differences. Minton blasts Zero for constantly strolling around with his minions and obstacles. When he dares Zero to a duel, Zero wins and asks his question, then moves forward friends to stay at Mintoland's initial blow. But Zero answers with and Maewnam is dealing an equally strong blow. On her way home, when she observes unexpectedly, the cops break up their fight. When they do, the boys must split up. Zero sees her as he exits and pulls after, emancipating her and leaving to pulls the box away from her in a quiet spot. In a dramatic moment, he looks into her, she notices on her face, and is awestruck at the appearance. But Maewnam thinks he is being drawn to her because of how ugly she is. She can still hear the pain from her past. She blacks out and loses awareness, while when Maewnam finally awakes, she discovers without herself in the hospital bed. She quickly begins to fear and must be given a face mask to help them relax. Her father regrets greatly having holds himself accountable for stopping her from attending school, for getting her hospitalization and permitting for her to remain at home as she wanted. Maewnam admits to everyone's amazement that she merely wants to go back to school. She wants to take retribution on Zero for making her remove the package via force the next day. Zero is by himself. Considering Maewnam, he is confused as regarding the reason she would hide her face while she is beautiful right now. Maewnam reaches him and hits him in the face for how he acted yesterday when his henchmen try to approach her, yet nothing prevents them. He tries to remove her face mask yet again. They get but is stopped by Minton. Due of her into another fight, but she pulls both of them to a stop. Currently, information regarding the too handsome fight between guys over the boxhead female has Maewnam went around the school scolds the guys for ruining her life. Much more challenging when Minton says he only wanted to assist her. He laughs. Zero is certain that she is attracted to Minton. Like he is, Minton feels that Zero is trying to contact Maewnam and queries if true, he would become anxious. Zero denies it, and calls Maewnam the ugly comment conjures up painful feelings for her, makes her lose awareness once more. Minton, by leaving Zero behind, helps her the following day. Maewnam returns to feeling she refuses to go because of her nervous phase the room or speak to anyone. Mr. Bond and Plum talk about what they can do to help her when a call comes in from outside their home. There has been Zero visit Maewnam to share your regret about his error, but Plum bans him from entering, saying that he sent Maewnam back to the following depressed spiral. Minton comes early to lift her spirits, but she bans him from entering her room. She wears a following his regular please, face mask, and surprised her by approaching him. She can utilize the duck cage he built for her. Maewnam can't help but hide her face. Laugh out loud at the sight he has additionally made a duck hat for himself. Put on their appropriate headgear and leave to form the goofy punk band they only share meals. In fact, Minston vows to look after her and she is encouraged to return to school by the next day. He picks her up to go to school. While Maewnam is alone, with him Zero tries to apologize to her as he approaches Plan, however, agitates them and sends him later. While in class, a girl named Ozone comes up to Maewnam and asks it. Turns out that a report is for a favor regarding the friendship between Maewnam and Zero passed around the college since Ozone wants her to listen, Maewnam preventing him from harming others. Maewnam denies having any link to him and leaves even as the lunch is being served. Break up a crowd and request her from similar favors, but she refuses each one. Down, but she later learns that Zero is hitting her brother for trying to examine him and learns Zero's companions pounding him to a stop makes Zero they halt and claim that Plan initiated the fight. An enraged Maewnam calls him out for stealing and intimidating the weak kids with no schoolwork and no money. Looks incredulously at his henchmen due to his command for them to never, when possible, make fun of someone who is less strong than them. He is urged by Maewnam to quit hurting others, then asks that she remove her box. She agrees, and he makes a promise to never use violence committed only for one's own goals. A way of assisting everyone, Maewnam uses box off and shows her face. Everyone is stunned. Later, still in shock, she gives a hug Minton crying because everyone noticed her. He's shocked to see her for the first time today, but focuses on calming her for the first time. Instead, Plowin shows her later at home. Every comment someone makes beneath an image posted of her, despite the fact that the it doesn't convince me that positive she enters her, and she is beautiful views the window as being open. Zero arrives out of nowhere and asks that he begs forgiveness for calling her ugly and admits that she is the most beautiful woman he had ever seen when he leaves. His comments continue. She inquires constantly in Maewnam's head. A buddy on the internet to view a picture of when the friend saw her on the school's page comments how adorable Maewnam is. Finally understands that they must being real for the first time since after more than 3 years. She releases a glass and sees herself in despite being beautiful. She almost does not the next day. She wouldn't believe her eyes. Maewnam doesn't bring the package to school. Every learner looks at her and chatters. However, they are not mocking anyone this time, but are instead enamored with her looks, despite being tense. Maewnam is set to begin a new life with assurance she never had before. Subscribe for more such videos, trigger notifications, and click like to support the channel. I appreciate you watching.